stuff. Let's talk about some movies. Okay, what should we get into first? Let's see. Well, a couple comments came out from one of the most legendary filmmakers of all time, and it's not very great comments to hear, especially from a movie fan, not just a MCU like Marvel superhero movie fan, but just a movie fan in general. I don't like this kind of stuff, but hey, he came out and he's one of the legends, right? He's some consider him like one of the greatest movie directors of all time. And yeah, man, he really is. So I feel like he has the merit to talk about this stuff. But Martin Scorsese, he has been very vocal about, his stance on superhero movies, comic book movies, franchises. There was a report earlier that came out too that the film that he worked on with Warner Brothers, I think it was The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio. They wanted to make a sequel to it, but Martin Scorsese obviously does not like doing sequels. He doesn't like doing franchises and stuff like that. So he stopped working with Warner Brothers because of that. Okay. So Martin Scorsese, as we know, is like 75 years old. Again, he's been making movies for years. He's made movies like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Casino, Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street, just to name a few. He's got the upcoming Killers of the Flower Moon. Damn, I should have had an image for that one. He's got the upcoming Killers of the Flower Moon starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Florence Pugh, Jesse Plemons. Is Florence Pugh in that? I don't know if she's in that, actually. Anyway, Brendan Fraser is in that also. So it's going to be a really good movie. It's a 3.5-hour movie. I'm super fucking excited to see it. But yeah, he came out and did a little article with Variety here. Martin Scorsese says fight back against comic book movie culture by supporting directors like Christopher Nolan. We've got to save cinema. Okay. In a sprawling new profile with GQ, director Martin Scorsese discussed comic book and franchise culture, a topic which he has spoken out about at length in the past. Yeah, he's definitely said this before. I think it was, what was the movie that was coming out? Oh, what was the movie that was coming out? Not Silence. It might have been Silence, but he was talking about how comic movies aren't real movies and like it's not cinema. And personally, hey, okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. All respect to Martin Scorsese. I mean, the things that he's made, the movies that he's made, they're amazing. Okay, I haven't seen a lot of them. I still gotta do my homework, but he's got like 40 or 50, maybe 60 years of a backlog of movies, right? That I gotta catch up on. And from the movies that I have seen of him, I love him. He's a really, really, really good director. That being said, dude, what the fuck is he talking about? Let's get into the quote here first. The danger there is what it's doing to our culture, because there are going to be generations now that think movies are only those. That's what movies are. That part right there, I kind of just disagree with, because a superhero movie is kind of like a genre, and a franchise movie is still kind of like a genre. It's an event. And anyway, he goes on to say they already think that, which means that we have to then fight back stronger. And then it's got to come with the it's got to come from the grassroots level, excuse me. It's got to come from the filmmakers themselves, and you'll have, the Safdie brothers, you'll have Chris Nolan, you know what I mean? And hit them from all sides, and don't give up. Let's see what you got. Go out there and do it. Go reinvent. Don't complain about it, but it's true. We've got to save cinema. I do think, the director also spoke out about streaming era's definition of content as opposed to actual cinema. I do think that Jesus Christ, I can't read today, guys. It's late. I do think that the manufactured content isn't really cinema, he said, adding, it's almost like AI making a film, and that doesn't mean that you don't have incredible directors and special effects people doing beautiful artwork, but what does it mean? What do these films, what will it give you? Aside from a kind of consummation of everything and then eliminating it from your mind, your whole body, so what is it giving you? Okay. he goes on to talk a little bit more. Okay, let's just focus directly on this quote right here. We have to fight back against this culture, this stuff. Okay, so he mentions Christopher Nolan, right? Does he know that Christopher Nolan made the Dark Knight trilogy? It's a franchise, and it's based on a comic book character. Obviously, look, I know the Dark Knight trilogy is different from most comic book movies, right? It's definitely super deep. It's definitely one of the better comic book trilogies, if not the best comic book trilogy of all time. So, he could have a point here with that one. But, I mean, it's still a franchise. It's still a comic book movie based on a comic book IP. You can't pick and choose, right? You can't attack the entire genre, but be like, oh, well, I mean, these ones are kind of different, So Martin Scorsese, he's got a lot of shit to say about the comic book genre, the superhero genre. And you know what? I saw this tweet. Let me look it up real quick. I saw this tweet and it made a good point. Obviously, sorry for for quoting a tweet as a source, but I thought it was interesting. Let me just go here real quick. Stay with me. Stay with me. Please stay with me. Damn, I repost a lot of shit. I gotta stop doing that. Stay with me. You guys can follow me on X if you want. You know what? Actually, I don't want you to follow me. Yeah, not gonna give you guys my social. Let's see. Where the fuck is it? Sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm just looking straight up for the tweet. Anyway, okay. Martin Scorsese was doing our culture there. Did I not repost it? Did I just like it? Oh, this is going to be so trash if I didn't do that. Damn. Okay, anyway. Damn, that was a waste of fucking time. So, yeah, this tweet basically was talking about how each era has like its own thing, right? So the 70s were like I think it said like gangster. 80s was more like the teen coming of age story, like the John Hughes kind of movies. That's what flooded the 80s. The 90s, it was more of, it just genre for every decade, right? 2000s was like the romantic comedy age. And then it also said that the 2010s were mainly superhero movies and like 3D movies, kind of, like big franchise movies. That's what the 2010s are about. And I saw that idea and I saw that tweet and I thought it was a good idea because that's kind of true. Like there's movies are all about gimmicks, right? So in the 50s, not the 50s, when did the talkie come out? The 20s, I believe. Don't quote me on this, but in the 20s or 30s or whatever, talkies started becoming a thing, right? So everybody started implementing that into it. And then, you had even color, right? That dating as far back as possible as you can. There's always these little trends that follow movies and superhero movies and these kind of movies like that. It's just what it is now. It is a trend. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of this trend, but it is a trend, So does Martin Scorsese have a kind of a point? Yeah, he does. But is it necessarily a bad thing to have this kind of trend? Because look, it's very good for the market, right? It's making a shit ton of money for studios. Obviously nowadays it's kind of slowing down a little bit. And people are complaining about how we don't have a lot of original movies and stuff like that. And this is something that Martin Scorsese has even touched on in the past too. However, I don't think that that's such a bad thing because we have been getting so many original movies and so many great original projects in the last 3-4 years, dating back all the way to 2019. I remember watching a bunch of it just because I worked at the movie theater. Right. And that's I was witnessing stuff firsthand, all these different kinds of movies. So maybe to the wider public, they think it's all just superhero movies because that's all they see. Marketers, they push that super, super hard. Whereas like the smaller films, like let's say Talk to Me, right? A24's Talk to Me that came out, the horror movie that came out. It wasn't marketed as much as a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So does Martin Scorsese kind of have a point there? Yeah, a little bit. Do I disagree with him though? Yeah, of course I disagree. Because to me it just sounds like he's has a whole history, right? A whole history of just kind of hating on the fucking MCU. And not even just the MCU, just the comic book genre, the superhero genre. And he has stated before that he doesn't think that they're movies. Okay. Again, I take it as a case by case, right? I take it as case by case because you can nitpick a genre like horror, right? And you can have a really deep, makes you think kind of movie like Hereditary, horror movie like Hereditary. And then you could just have a slasher like fucking, what's a fucking slasher off the top of my head? Halloween Kills, right? Just a regular slasher. Those two, both horror movies, right? Both horror movies, technically in the horror genre. However, one is different, one's more dense, one's deeper, and the other one's more blood and whatever, like more entertaining for the audience. So you can have the same kind of genre, and you can also be different, right? So I feel like it's the same thing for superhero movies and stuff like that. You can have a movie like The Dark Knight, and a lot of people love The Dark Knight. And you can also have something like, I don't know, Blue Beetle, right? Which is not as dense and not as like cinematic, but people love it. It's entertaining for the wide majority of audiences. Obviously, it didn't make that much money at the box office, but that's probably a bad example. But the wide audience can it's more of like a gateway drug, right, to movies. Okay, so if you go in watching Blue Beetle, right, you leave with a little bit of like thought, that movie really made me think about family. That movie really made me think about whatever. It's not super deep. It's not as deep as The Dark Knight or anything like that, but that's just kind of my take on it. Not all superhero movies are made alike. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania fucking sucked, but it's a superhero movie. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a superhero movie, but that one feels more like a story about like trauma, whereas Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I don't even want to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Anyway, that's it for that, guys. What do you think? Martin Scorsese comes out with comments. What do you think about his comments on the superhero movie genre and comic book movie genre and the franchises nowadays? What do you guys think about that? Does he have a point? He kind of does, yeah. Let me know down below in the comment section. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you like and comment below to join the discussion. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so you never miss another upload or live stream.